everyone, it's Space Chaser again. Welcome to another of my model review videos where I look at some of the older diecasts that are available second hand. And today we've got the Britbus Alexander R type. The one we've got is a Scania, but they also did Leyland and Volvo Olympians. And I'll talk about that in just a moment. So the one we've got is catalogue number R800X-BP. Which was released in August 2005, and it shows, as I say, Scania N113 in delivery of Black Prince, the long gone operator from Morley just outside Leeds. I'll go through the history of Black Prince in just a moment. The vehicle modelled is F421GWG. These vehicles were built for dealer stock, as they called it. In the years after deregulation in the late 80s, the new bus market in the UK was quite subdued. And a lot of manufacturers kept going by building stock vehicles. Some of them they held on to themselves, other ones they sent off to bus dealers. These Scanias were sent off to a dealer. I can't remember, to be honest, if it was Stuart Johnson at Workshop or KB Central of Southampton near Rotherham, but it was one of the two. In July 1989, 9 of these dealer stock Scanias were sent off to London buses. They were registered by the dealer, which is why it's got a WG, South Yorkshire registration, F421GWG. But yeah, they were bought by London buses. They were sent off to London Northern at Potters Bar Garage, and they became fleet numbers S1 to S9. And they worked on Route 263 between Archway Station and Barnet Hospital. London Northern was privatised in October 1994. It was sold to MTL Holdings, in other words, Merseyside Transport Limited. In 1996, MTL transferred the 9 Scanias up to the main company in Liverpool, Merseybus, and they worked there until 1999 when all 9 of them were sold to Black Prince Coaches, as we said, of Morley near Leeds. So we just try and get the camera to focus. There we go. So F421GWG became fleet number 421 with Black Prince, as you can see. In 2005, Black Prince sold out to First Leeds, and this bus became fleet number 36921 with First. It was withdrawn in September 2006, and it was sold to PVS Carlton for scrap in April of 2007. First repainted it into their full standard Barbie livery. So Black Prince were formed in 1969 by Brian Crowther and Bert Colley, although Bert's shareholding was put in the name of his wife Stella, because Bert worked for West Yorkshire Roadcar Company. He didn't think that they'd be too impressed that he owned half of a potential competitor. Sadly, Bert and Stella both died in the 1970s and left Brian Crowther in sole control of the company. Up until deregulation in 1986, they operated coaches. They did coach hire, they did various tours and excursions, quite often into Europe, and they also ran school contracts and things with double-deckers. Deregulation in 1986 decided to run some local services, including local services around Morley and also between Morley and Leeds. They tried to offer something different to the standard offering from Yorkshire Rider, who were the ex-West Yorkshire Passenger Transport Executive bus operator. But Yorkshire Rider competed against them regardless. They flooded the route with minibuses between Leeds and Morley. After a while, the two operators came to a bit of an accord and they ran alongside each other. Black Prince expanded into a network of services, but as I say, in 2005 Brian Crowther wished to retire, so he sold the operation to First Leeds, who were the successors to Yorkshire Rider. Most of Black Prince's buses were red and yellow, some of them with maroon on the livery as well, but some of them were kept in a blue and cream livery for Route 88. The reason for that was the route had been taken over, along with other routes, from Amberley Travel of Pudsey in 1994, and Amberley used a blue and white livery. So to keep some continuity for passengers, Black Prince kept a few vehicles in a blue and cream livery for use on the 88. The 88 in Amberley days ran from Crossgates in East Leeds through the city centre to Pudsey in West Leeds, but Black Prince extended it at both ends, firstly at the west end from Pudsey to Bradford, and then later on at the east end from Crossgates to Colton. So 421 was one of the vehicles that was kept in the blue and cream livery for the 88 route, and indeed it's modelled working that route. So the Britbus R-Type is quite complicated. Basically, there were 22 Scanias, 21 Leyland or Volvo Olympians for the UK type, and plus another 12 Leyland or Volvo Olympians of the Irish type, which had a different bodywork. Amongst other things, the Irish ones had a lower emergency exit window. I will review an Irish one if I get one. I've not got one at the minute, but I'll do a separate review because it is quite a different model. They were released between 2004 and 2011, although Britbus ceased in sort of the mid-2010s, but the moulds still exist and some of them have been commissioned by various people. Basically the Irish version, the Dublin Bus Olympian, there have been 3 more commissions of that, one in 2018, one in 2021 and one in 2022. Up to press, I don't think any of the this type of vehicle have been commissioned since the cessation of Britbus. It's no real surprise Britbus got into difficulties, to be fair, because this is completely different to the Leyland Olympian. The single door Olympian looks exactly the same really from the front and the side, but it's not. If you look at the back here, you can see that the back steps in as it did on the real thing. The reason for that was the Scania chassis was slightly shorter than the Alexander R-Type body, so they put this like step in, which is modelled correctly by Britbus. But the Olympian didn't have this. The back just continued down in a flush manner, so it was a different casting completely. And as I said, the Dublin Bus one's different as well. So, you know, there are 3 separate castings on what essentially would be the same model normally. Then there's single and dual door ones as well. Some of the dual door ones have got the staircase at the front, and some have got it in the centre. So there were, you know, at least probably 5 different castings done, which must have cost them a fortune. And it kind of helps to explain why they got into some sort of difficulties. So we'll have a look round the model, starting as always with the front. The front dome looks pretty accurate. Some manufacturers struggle with the R-Type front end, but this one is pretty much spot on. The window looks good as well. The sort of peaked up at the top there. The only criticism about this model is that the side windows are very slightly too deep. They should be a little bit shallower. They were big windows in real life, but they weren't quite this big. However, on this model you can't really tell because the surrounds are painted in dark blue, so it disguises the effect. On lighter coloured ones, for example the Maidstone release that's in white, or on the Dublin Bus ones, the windows do look too big. But as I say, this disguises it. The bottom edge of the front window is slightly stepped up from the bottom of the side windows, which is correct as well. That's good to see. The front panel has got glazing with a blind behind it, so correctly showing 88 Bradford. A lot of Black Prince buses showed the name Black Prince at the top there, but I don't think this one did. All of the releases, I think, have got the same destination blind thing, and in most of them it's correct, including this one. But there was a first Leeds released where the blind should have been a bit shallower, but it's still got this deep blind on it. But as I say, for this one it's correct. The windscreen looks good, the big windscreen with flat glass arranged in a slightly V-shaped shape. Well represented there. The dividing bar picked out in silver as indeed it is at the top, and it is actually moulded onto it, it's not just flat printed. The wipers are a separate fitting, correctly fitted at the top of the screen. The mirrors look quite good. This one's slightly bent because the bus was bought unboxed and it's been through the post, and I don't bend it back too much because it will snap off. Nice little feature on the Britbus model as well, the tax and operator's licence disc holder there in the front windscreen. The panel underneath looking nice with the indicator lights and things there. The grills, there was a variation in those as well. Some of the later Scanias had a simpler and smaller grille, and Britbus did model that. If you get the West Midlands example, which is a H registered, it's got the later style of grille, but this one has got the sort of quite large looking grille that the real vehicle had, with the Scania and Alexander badges on it, as they should be. The headlights, the fog lights look quite good. The shape of the panel where the registration plate is good as well, and it all looks pretty decent. So we go on to the side. Again, general impression of size and shape is good. The cove panelling is the correct shape. As I say, the windows are slightly too big, but you can't tell on this livery application because the paint scheme disguises it. The glazing bars on these buses changed from black when they were new to silver later on. and the model here in silver, which is more or less correct for Black Prince. I think it did have the odd black one in real life. As you can see, they've actually put glazing bars on all the windows, but on this one, on the real vehicle, it was fixed, so you just haven't picked it out, but you can still see it, and it looks a bit strange. It might have been easier just to pick it out in silver, to be honest, and then, you know, you probably wouldn't have noticed that it didn't open on the real one. Whereas you can see on this one that it's still got a glazing bar, but just not picked out. The side of the vehicle is fairly simple, as the real one was. The handrail inside that ran along the back couple of windows is nicely modelled and picked out in orange. The indicators printed on, as is the Scania 113 badge. The doors have got a bit of relief to them. They look effective, as does the step, and the wheels look quite nice as well. Maybe not 100% in the case of the back wheel, but not far off. And the whole impression of it is quite good. These models remind me a little bit of those buildings you get on model railways that you can only view from one side, and where the modeller hasn't bothered to model the back, so that, you know, the front of it that you can see will be fully modelled, but the back of it's just plain cardboard. And it's kind of, the detail gets a bit less as you go towards the back on these. The front is really, really good, as we've seen, and then you get a bit further back, the indicator is just printed on, and it gets a bit less around the back. I'll just show you an amusing typo there. Kudos to Britbus for putting this advert on. Black Prince buses at the time this was modelled more or less all carried this advert for driver recruitment. But I don't know if you can see it there. I'll just try and get it under the light. It says earn up to £3.60 per week. So they've put a decimal point in that wasn't needed, obviously. It should have said £360 a week, which was the rate Black Prince drivers could earn at the time. I'm happy to confirm they were on more than £3.60 a week, even back in the early 2000s. But yeah, it's just an amusing typo that they've put a decimal point in where there shouldn't be one. This is what I mean about detail getting less. As I say, this casting is unique for the Scania, but despite that, they've done this little panel here is just printed on, whereas in real life it would have stuck out, and it would have been nice if they just put it sticking out. Again, the edge of the sort of panel that would open for inspection in real life is just printed. It's not part of the casting, and that vent's printed as well. So yeah, it's all printed detail, rather than, if it was on the front you think it might sort of stand out. They might have actually done it as part of the casting. It still looks quite effective though, don't get me wrong, but it's just, as I say, it gets less detail as you go towards the back. So we look at the back. The emergency exit is pretty good. Representation again printed on there of the handle to open it, and the back panelling pretty simple as it was. The registration plate's got a bit of a black surround. That's because the rail thing was slightly recessed in. It kind of recessed at an angle, but it's printed because it enables Britbus to do various different styles of it. The first Leeds one I mentioned, for example, had the registration plate over to the offside behind a glass panel in real life, and then I think it had a number blind on the other side. So it just, you know, printing it just enables them to do the variations. The lower deck window looks quite good. It's a little bit of an awkward fit, as you can see. You can see the edges of it quite a lot, but it's not too bad. And the lights painted on, there is a bit of relief to them. And then you've got the engine cover and the bumper looking a bit of a weird shape. The engine cover does open, bear with me. There we go, engine cover opens to show the mighty Scania engine. The 113 in the chassis designation meant it had an 11.3 litre engine in a standard length bus with a relatively lightweight body on. They were complete flying machines, particularly with Black Prince. A lot of Black Prince drivers, if the foot was near the accelerator, it was touching the floor basically. In fact, one of the drivers was so fast that when he got off in the middle of Leeds, he was suffering from jet lag. But yeah, they were really, really quick machines. But fond memories of travelling on them. So we go around to the offside again. Generally, it's pretty good. Sorry, just try and get the light onto it a little bit more. That's better. There we go. So again, the cove panel shape quite good. The windows and things looking pretty decent. The between decks panelling. The emergency exit handle is printed on, but it looks quite good. As do the vents there, and again the what would be an opening panel in real life just printed on there. The radiator grille printed there. It does have a little bit of relief to it, but not much. It's a little bit disappointing. I've got the Metropolitan model from Britbus, and that has the radiator actually part of the casting. Fuel filler there looking pretty good, and the driver's signalling window. Goes to the roof, nothing to report at all, very smooth and simple as the rail R-type roof was. All it really needs is a few rivets in between that and the ceiling panels inside, which the builders at Alexander used to do. I believe they used to put the ceiling panel in first and then they'd put the outer skin on, but they'd rest the rivets on top of the ceiling panel until they needed them for use, but there'd always be a few spare ones left over about when they'd finished, which would then rattle about inside the roof every time the bus accelerated or braked. And then you've got the chassis there, as you would expect with Britbus, quite well detailed, quite thick chassis members there. You've got the representation of the transmission, engine and gearbox, all that kind of thing, the fuel tanks. You've even got the sort of planking of the floor there kind of thing, and the presumably what the cable runs underneath, but yeah, nicely detailed. The wheels are posable, the front wheels, so you can do it steering around the corner. All very good. Can we get them straight again? Yeah, we can. There we go. So looking at the interior, I'll try and get some light on it. Again, it looks really good. The handrails are done very nicely and picked out in orange as they would be. See the driver's cab there looking quite nice. Nice variety of colours. The seats are a different colour to the floor. You can see the staircase panelling done in cream there, which it would have been. Oddly, the seats are moulded in brown. On these buses they were actually red. The backs of them were brown, but the seats themselves were red. So it would benefit if you could be bothered to do it for the bus taking apart and just painting the seats. But generally the interior is well done. The seat back grab rails, as you can see, are individually modelled there. Something I didn't point out on the near side as well is the detail of the stickers that are printed on. You've got the Metro West Yorkshire PTE sticker there, and you've also got the Black Prince fair deals there. You can see price of daily tickets and all that kind of thing on there. Nice level of detail. So if you want an R-Type from Britbus, how much will it cost you? Well, this one cost me £18.95 plus £3.99 postage and packing, so essentially £23. If you want the Black Prince version that I've got, I've had a look on eBay for the purposes of this video, doing the video in late September 2024. The Black Prince one, the cheapest I could find was £25 plus £3.85 postage, and the most expensive was £29.99 plus £3.39 postage. So basically between sort of £29 and £33 for the Black Prince version. If you just want an R-Type, generally the UK style R-Type, prices range between £19 plus £4.50 postage up to a whopping £77.99 including postage. So that's between £23.50 and 78 quid. The expensive one was the Arriva Leyland Olympian. As with many of these type of models, some of them are more sought after than others, and the Arriva one seems to be one of the more sought after. The Dublin bus version, which as I say was significantly different, they range between £36 including postage and packing and £79.99 plus £4.50 postage. So again, £36 up to about £85. Again, depending exactly what you want. And just for balance, I had a look at the Eliz Keith website for the R-Type. They hadn't got any of the Dublin bus versions, but the UK versions were between £20 and £55, including, with postage and packing on top for those. So you'd be looking somewhere around £25 to £60 from them for one of these. But it is a nice model. As I say, I remember Black Prince. I used to travel on them. I lived in Morley for just over 5 years. Not in the part that Black Prince served, but I could walk up to the centre of town and get one from there, and I used to do quite often. So it's a nice addition to my collection. They did quite a lot of different operators in the range. You can check out the list online basically, but a lot of people operated these Scania with Alexander R-Type bodies, and indeed the Leyland versions as well. So there's plenty of scope to use them wherever you're modelling, but it is a nice model. Not the cheapest model on the market by any means, as we've just seen, but it is nice regardless. And yeah, recommended. So as always, thank you for watching. Take care, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.